certainly know that ITV is the best. And we are on the tide of this morning on ITV, flying on the wings of nationalism and you. The spirit of Mother Nigeria beckoning on you to act well, to think well, behave right, in order to build a nation that is in consonance with the wordings of our national anthem and the pledges. This morning we will be taking a look at the Anambra poll that has come and gone. The anxiety before the poll, the election proper, and the lessons. With me to examine this topic this morning, we are having, to my far right, Mr. Usman Okai Austin. You are welcome to our studio. And in the spirit of nationalism, are you? You.
Yeah, it's my duty and responsibility to help build this country.
Thank you very much.
I'm grateful. Thank you for having me.
The second guest to my immediate right is Comrade Dalihat Suleiman. He is a criminologist and a socio-political commentator. Dalhatu Suleiman, nationalism and you.
It is my duty and responsibility to help build my country of birth.
Very well. I hope you are watching them out there. It is your duty, your responsibility. No more looking for someone out there. Just say to yourself, if no one do it, I will do it. Behave as if no one else can do it but you. That is the spirit of nation building. The Anambra election. So much anxiety. So much fear. To the extent that even some ad hoc staff were throwing in the towel. Let me start with you, Mr. Okai Austin.
Yeah.
Your opinion.
Yes.
Your assessment of the Anambra election.
Yeah, the election has come and gone, and APGA candidate, the person of Professor Soludo, was declared winner in one of the best elections as we are advancing and advocating for the spirit of modern Nigeria. It reflects the will of the people, and it also rekindles the hope in us that yes, truly we can get it right. If we want it, we work for it, we will get it right. With what is happening in the southeast, that region, apart from the northeast and the state like Zamfara and Kaduna, is one of the most unsafe parts of the country today. With what the report is saying about allegedly actions of IPOB and ESN, they have what it takes to ensure that that election do not come to pass. I must commend the leadership of IPOB, the security personnel, the effort of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, and other well-wishers, well-meaning Nigerians, who stand up, especially Bishop Kuka, former military administrator, General Absalam Abubakar Peace Committee, and the clergy, men of the godly men, let me call it that way, who spoke wisdom to those who have the capacity to destroy that election and allow that beautiful event to come to pass. It was a build-up to what we enjoyed in Edo State. Though there were some semblance of some violence in Edo State election, but what we had in Edo State and Anambra State is a big lesson to all of us that a pointer to 2023 that if the government means it and Nigerians stand up for it, we will get it right.
If the government means it and Nigeria stand up for it, we will get it right. Suleiman, your take.
Talking about the threat, the anxiety before the Anambra election, I think many people have bared their minds, but at the same time, people have undermined the strength or the ability or the capability of our security agencies in this country. I and you know that before that election, average Nigerians or majority of Nigerians did not believe that that election would even hold because of the threat by ECN, Biafra National Guard, and IPOP. Anambra State, just like any other state in the southeast right now, is a volatile place to be. And there was a lot of attacks by these people that you journalists garnish and give them name unknown gunmen. Even though, to the best of my knowledge, they are non-gunmen. They are not unknown gunmen because people come to media and make threats, and they make good of their threats by carrying out or by implementing what they say they will do. And yet, we pretend to call them unknown gunmen. So there was this threat all over. Nobody even believed that Anambra election will hold without a single gunshot, as it happened last weekend. So to me, as I'm sitting here, kudos to the security people, the police in particular, and other sister security agencies, the military, civil defense, and the rest of them. Because for me, they come with the magic wand. Regardless of whatever you think or whatsoever anybody will say, the security people must take the glory, because I don't know how they do it, but they told us before the election. I remember the Commissioner of Police in Anambra State affirmed that this election will hold and nothing will happen because his men are fully on ground and they have gotten enough reinforcement from the national. From the national. So, and it came and happened. The election held, and there was not a single gunshot. Nobody was harassed. People came out to vote, even though there was voter apathy. Because when you talk about 2,466,000 voter registered, then you have only 258,000 people coming out to vote, meaning 90% of the people that registered did not even vote. We left out about 2 million and something people did not vote. So there's serious voter apathy, and it could be that the threat by IPOP made a lot of people not to come out to vote. And normally, you know how elections are in this country, people are even losing interest in election. And the voter education by INEC is not to the bar that it's supposed to be. So there's serious voter apathy, quite okay. But that doesn't mean that INEC did not carry out their civic responsibility. They did well. So I salute INEC, I salute the security forces by rising up to their responsibility and doing the needful for us to have election in Anambra State, regardless of all the propaganda by ESN or whatever they call themselves in the southeast.
Well, people say that due to the anxiety and the fear, even the contestants could not make a robust campaign in Anambra State before the election. Do you share this view?
Definitely. Twice the candidate, the governor-elect of Anambra State, escaped assassination. Some of his aides were killed. And I want to disagree with my friend yes, no. We don't just, if the people say they don't want this, there's nothing the security will do. For instance, the case of voters apathy. Why can't security force people to come out? We must commend every actor, including the incumbent governor, Anambra State, Governor Obiano. He has what it takes to fund and sponsor violence. Before that, nobody knew except the Anambarian that Abga will even become second. But we saw what happened. And on the issue of INEC do not carry out their responsibility in terms of orientation. No. What do we do with the Ministry of Information and Orientation? We have an agency there, National Orientation Agency. who's supposed to carry out the responsibility of educating, informing the citizens what they're supposed to do. And at this age, at this level, in this dead world, we are still begging people to come out and vote. We are talking of the spirit of nationalism there. What then do it? What is our contribution as a citizen? It is our civic responsibility.
But you know, some people will disagree with you concerning the Anambra issues because there were so much threats, and there were threats being made good, like you were averse to, like you referred to. Even 3 policemen that were attached to the governor-elect were killed at a point, and the rest of it. Yes. Will you blame voters, even with all of your voting, voters' education? Will you blame a voter that did not come out to vote?
And that's why initially I said, thanks to all the major actors, if they don't want this election would have come to pass. The same people that attacked police were the same people who laid down their arms and allowed the election to go. Remember the Ihala? There was an attack where a security man was killed, and there was a reaction before the interventions of the people. We must commend the major actors in this, whether you like it or not. You can't write off IPOB and ASN in the southeastern part of this country today. They are major threats. We must be sincere to ourselves. It is becoming difficult to even see a policeman wearing his uniform and move around on his duty in anywhere in any of the states of the southeast. That is the reality.
Well, Mr. Suleiman, your response to that?
Sir, I equally want to correct him. I want to correct an impression he raised. Talking about national orientation is not the sole responsibility of national orientation for voter education. It is stated in the Electoral Act. INEC, in fact, INEC have an organ of voter education. I think they even have a director in charge of voter education in the Independent National Electoral Commission there.
Okay.
What is the responsibility of that voter education organ in INEC? What are they doing in reaching out to people to come and obtain voters card and vote? You understand? And the onus of INEC, the responsibility of INEC is to go and conduct a credible and what can be judged largely as acceptable election. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, in the last election, INEC have just done that in Anambra election, because there was not any complaint, there was not any cry from anywhere. Everybody was free to exercise his franchise. So in this case now, how will you blame INEC? And the security on their own, whose responsibility is to protect the voters on the day of election, and the INEC staffs have equally done that. And I just tell you that we have not recorded a single gunshot in Anambra State. And you are telling me to give credit to Eastern or IPOB? I think the security forces are the people in charge of security. And they promised to us, they affirmed to us that election in Anambra will hold. These people you are mentioning told us that, in fact, they said no referendum, no election. That has been the slogan even before Anambra election. No referendum, no election.
I do not.
And I agree, and I have, or you have to give credit to the security people to ensuring that, because they told Anambarians, the electorate, that don't entertain any fear. Come out and vote on election day. We are going to protect you. And this happened in Anambra.
I think I need to.
So give credit.
I need to react to. Is trying to get me wrong. I must commend it, and I'm still commending the effort of security personnel, but they can't do it alone. There are several villages where police do not come. The armed police were not seen at. Do police go to the police unit with the armed? Are they allowed to enter there with guns? No. There are several. No, we're not talking of Oka Onitsha town. We're talking of suburb. The citizens were ready, and if you observe initially, they were not coming out until they noticed that there is peace. There was peace, and they begin to come out. And that is why, despite the fact that there was some delay in the whole capturing machine BVA, I mean the biodata something, INEC listened to the people complain. I heard Charles Solodo outrightly blamed INEC for disenfranchisement of so many citizens, which prompt INEC to listen and increase the date, the timing the voting is supposed to stop. That's what I'm trying to. I'm not saying that it's not the duty of INEC. INEC cannot mobilize people to come out and vote. INEC will educate you that it's your right to get your CV. This is where to vote. These are what you do that you spoil the vote. But it is the duty of national orientation, an agency of government that is being budgeted for, funded by the taxpayer, to inform the citizen what is their civic right. It's not the duty or the responsibility of INEC to inform me that is why I'm supposed to choose my leader. What INEC can do is to tell me how to vote, where to compete. These are what I want to do. I'm just saying that I think you and I are on the same position. I commended the effort of the security, but that do not mean we should write off the threat of INEC, because I am aware of the effort of the Peace and Reconciliation Committee, led by General Absalom Abubakar and Bishop Matthew Okuka. So many key stakeholders of IPOB were appealed to. So many, the highly rated personalities of the Southeast held several meetings in Lagos, in Abuja, down to the Southeast on the need for them to allow a peaceful election to come about in Anambra State. That is why I said the major actors must be commended, including the citizens.
Taking a rider from your opinion.
Yes, sir.
Do we need a climax of contentions like this in order to guide our society towards peace? For example, the threat against the election,
yes,
and the fundamental proclamation of the security forces. And if you see the police authority, they mobilize so many AIG and their highest echelons and the rest of it, and their full soldiers and joint task force and the rest of it, in order to say we will not tolerate the sabotaging of our democratic process and that kind of a thing. Now, it is at that particular level that other people who had wanted to, because some people have been calling for the postponement of the election.
Of course, exactly.
So other people began to galvanize themselves to now begin to negotiate, because they know that the security people has come up. Must we always wait for all of that kind of a thing to throw up before we live up to our expectation to guide our society towards peace?
No, that is where we are saying that the honors of building this country rests on us. And we are commending them because of the situation on ground. And something led to that tension, which I don't want to sit down here and discuss, because it is a national security matter. How do we come out of this? And you can't address this where there is an understanding and visible injustices everywhere. Something gives birth to insecurity. Just as we were saying earlier, the population is growing and nothing is being made to accommodate them. I don't want to emphasize on that. And I commended the effort of the major actors, because I'm from Kogi State. So many of these security were deployed in our last election, and the unthinkable still happened. They deployed helicopters. It was used against the citizens. So what are we saying about? This happened because the key actors want peaceful election. And I must commend them. I cannot sit down and say thank the security because of the peaceful election.
Do any of you saw the victory of Professor Soludo coming?
I saw it.
I did not tell you.
I saw it.
It surprises me, and that is why I'm commending them. And if you listen to the United States of America statement they issued officially, they commended the election, they commended the INEC, they commended the citizens and the major actors. And before then, there were a sitting governor who is the chief security of the state, Anambra State, Governor Willie Obiano, openly came out that 10 local government election results have already been written. He's a governor. He has the information you and I do not have. So when he issued that statement as a result of enormous information that is, and he was jittery. I watched him, and when he runs to Abuja to meet the president over the planned declaration of the state of emergency, it was look as if he's about to lose it. But it is the people of Anambra who see APGAN as a traditional institution in their state, and the fairness of INEC that gave that victory to Professor Charles Soludo. Look at his polling unit.
Mr. Suleiman, he did not see the victory of Soludo coming. You saw it coming. How did you see it?
Thank you very much for this question. You just take the word out of my mouth. ABGA as a party is a traditional party in the Southeast. Whether you like it or not, that party still enjoys sympathy that must be credited to Ikemba Ojukwu. Yes. Because he is a legend in the Southeast, and people still have that sympathy for the party because of Ojukwu. And I can tell you categorically that today we have very influential elite in the Southeast that are still sponsoring ABGA. Yes. They don't participate in politics, but whenever issue come up about election, they invest in ABGA. They spend their hard-earned money in ABGA. I know this. Very influential people. They are playing behind the camera. You know them.
Yes.
Because of what? The sympathy they have for ABGA, courtesy of Ikemba Ojukwu. So one, to beat ABGA in Anambra State or in the Southeast is very difficult in any election. Then you talk about the incumbent governor. If Willie Obiano is not one of the best, he's not a bad governor either. He did well in Anambra State as far as I'm concerned. When you talk about payment of salary, gratuity, pension and all that, you know, these are things that culminate to red leaders nowadays in this country. He has taken credit on that. He brings a lot of development, dividends of democracy to Anambarians. And there are people who like to vote his candidate in order to sustain that legacy.
Suleiman.
Courtesy of what they have done to
Suleiman, I agree with you to some extent. As a politician, when you see some defection, you will be scared. I'm talking of a state that is sitting governor, deputy governor, number second in the state. They come to APC. I'm talking of a state where a sitting senator of PDP, they come to APC. I'm talking of a state where majorities of House of Assembly members who are also grassroots that were elected as a member of ABGA come to APC. I'm talking of a state where a BOT member, a founder, a financier of ABGA, they come to APC. That is, these are they are the yardstick.
Comrade Austin, it seems you forget.
Some people will tell you that those are psychological warfare.
Sir, it seems you forget so soon the amount of political resentment against this APC that is talking about in the Southeast.
Thank you.
Bring out Nnamdi Kanu from where he is today. If he's contesting under APC, it will be very difficult for him to win election. There is serious political resentment against the APC and President Muhammadu Buhari.
And why so?
I agree with
you. Sir, it is what their people sold to them. It is what their people sold to them.
Not what people sold to them.
That's what it appears that it's not reality. No.
It's not about it.
No.
There is nowhere.
Sir.
There is nowhere APC can win any free and fair contest.
No. We are here to discuss our nationalists.
No. I am
a PDP member. I am discussing nationalism. I am not talking of nationalism here.
He is already portraying the PDP.
But you say so that APC cannot win.
I am the anchor here. Let us be quiet. I am the anchor here. Now let us go. Now let us listen. It is yes, if you take a look at APC showing in the entire East and the rest of it, one may have some certain level of miscontrol, but even when you view the current election we are discussing right now, you will understand that APC is not even a write-off, because the gap between APC and PDP that came, concurrently, second and third to ABGA is not much. So, which means there are level of acceptance. It only varies. So, now, that being that, the election has come and gone. The numbers of voters, the disparity between the numbers of voters and the actual voting, counted voters and the rest of it that led to victory, did it rob that elections of its credibility? I want us to talk about that.
Credibility is the voters register. We are aware of so many people double. We can register more than 2 or 3 places for the purpose of winning an election. We should commend INEC again for deployment of this sophisticated technology where the incident forms were disallowed. I am not saying that there was no voters apathy, but we should look at the advantages.
Very well. Mr. Suleiman, because we're running out of our time.
As far as I'm concerned, if you are to place INEC on the bar, I think they are passed the litmus test. Because this is an election that is, as far as I'm concerned, is generally accepted by all the people that participated, including we that are not from Anambra, that we are observant outside Anambra State. I'm an APC member, but I'm happy for Charles Soludo. And I heard this morning even our candidate in the election talking about Senator Andy Uba said he's not even challenging the election in court, meaning he's graciously accept defeat and is magnanimous in defeat because it's very glaring. The victory is very glaring. I was talking about APGA before he interrupted me. The product of APGA himself can be sellable anywhere. We are talking about Charles Soludo, former CBN governor. Of course, he has his high and lows when he was in the CBN, but he's not the bad CBN governor we have. Yes. He was one of the best.
Okay.
So people even believe that not even governorship, he can contest for president in Nigeria and you pull weight.
I hope you are not campaigning for him.
No.
Now, anyway, let us go this way. The question of non-conclusive elections, people said it has become a part and parcel of APC's conduct of elections. What do you say? You first.
Sir, I think inconclusive election, what is leading to inconclusive election as far as I'm concerned, is the amount of transparency in that election. Ordinary, during their era, from 1999,
it has started.
We have your time, so let him talk. That is why we are here.
Election will not even lead to inconclusive. They will just sit somewhere and write results. You understand? We see it during Professor Maurice Iwu's time, Abel Gobodia. But as time progresses, these things are changing. So, to me, inconclusive election is a way of giving people the fair assessment on what to do next. Because what will lead to inconclusive is the amount of issues that INEC are facing at that particular period of time. So they have to give time in order to involve other stakeholders to continue and have a clear result. So
very well. Your take on inconclusive election that has been a recurrent...
Inconclusive election is part of APC achievement. They brought it, and it's one of their magic tools. They use it to manipulate an election, deploy excessive security, just as they did in Osun State, where they lost that election, and they used an inconclusive instrument to manipulate they manipulated the result, came back through the window, and declared themselves. They studied what happened in Anambra State, and they know they cannot happen because their candidate was trolling behind far, and there's no amount of magic. All eyes were on ground that they can perform. So, second of the manipulating election as part of what they do in PDP, which is wrong. We saw what happened in Kogi State, where Okene alone, Kogi Central, they manufactured the result that declared the governor of the APC governor of Kogi State the winner of that election. The kangaroo election that was conducted in Kogi State is part of APC achievement. And nobody can say that manipulation election is PDP, part of PDP. No, we are talking of PDP sustained this country for 60 years without any sexual call for agitation.
Before that election,
without anybody call for secession. Today we are having the life governor Amnikan, who is one of their products because of injustice. We are having Sodek Boho, who is calling for Odua Republic because of their party could not unite the country. Every citizens of this country should commend them or should commend PDP for keeping Nigeria together. What we are having today.
So before that inconclusive election, it was already obvious that the APGA candidate will still win the election.
Yes, that's why there is no magic you can do.
Because of the gap. So how could you have think? How could you have think that they will use Iliala, local government alone to manipulate?
You did it in Osun State.
Okay.
You did it in Osun State.
Okay.
It's unthinkable. You use Okene alone to win the government election in Kogi State.
Now let us guide ourselves properly, because what we are doing here is to educate Nigerians on the process of nation building. On the process of nation building. You definitely knew that as of the time that we were not having, what do you call it, inconclusive elections in the past, this technology has not been deployed.
Thank you.
You understand? In those days, you will remember that a party we scored 24 million to win presidential election. But since the deployment of this technology, no presidential candidate has won by 24 million any longer. And that kind of a thing.
Yes.
So, don't you think that inconclusive elections is a part of our political evolutions that we are now seeing voting? We are now seeing voting.
Reflection of the will of the people.
That is what. Yes, I'm asking you.
Inconclusive election.
Yes.
It's a bad omen. It was used in that. You can see that over 100, to 200 voters registered. People with PVC were in Ihala local government. What is the total number of the vote that Professor Charles Soludo used to defeat, defeated the PDP and APC? Before, yes, we commended the INEC for the deployment of this sophisticated technology, and the elimination of incident form. If not, the magic and unthinkable would have happened in that. I know what I'm talking.
Okay, your take.
So I've said it before. As far as I'm concerned, inconclusive election is another way of giving people the right or privilege to exercise their franchise. Because ordinary, as I said, during their days, it is just
rounding up
one local government. They will just write results,
rounding up,
and add it up to what they have.
Rounding up. What are the lessons to draw from the anxiety, the elections, and
I think
the lessons?
Before I come to a lesson, I still want to appreciate INEC, our security agencies, for a job well done. And moving forward, what they did, the magic one they did in Anambra, they should double their effort in doing that. And people that he was giving kudos or credit to, the stakeholders, the key actors that he's talking about, please, this nationalism in me and him should equally reflect in them. Because if there's no nationality in them, they are the people that contributed to this problem that we have today. You asked me that what created that political resentment against the APC in the Southeast. And I told him, is what their people told them about
Why
the APC.
do they do that?
It's what their people told them.
Why?
Because
the spelling of APC is not.
No, we are rounding up. Lessons.
We should embrace more technology, and we must stand by the decisions of the National Assembly, both the uppers and the lower chambers, on the coming direct transmissions of election results and the coming poll via technology. That is the way out.
Let me quickly put one or two questions to you people. There is a contest going on between National Assembly and the governors now over direct primaries as a way. Your take on it?
Yes.
Do you support the governor or you support the National Assembly?
The governors has constituted themselves to be a threat to our national democracy. And
you
we must all stand up against the governors.
Sir, I as a Nigerian and an electorate, I support direct primaries. But do you know why? I will tell you that I have my reservation for both the stance of the National Assembly members and the governors. There's equally an allegation that the National Assemblies, mostly of the PDP and APC, have lost out in the last congresses that was held. So it is they now feel that it is now their own turn to pay back to the sub-government by what? Agreeing on the direct primaries.
What is wrong with that?
You understand?
What is wrong with that?
I'm coming.
Don't you think that will get rid of godfatherism so that the people can
use direct primary in Lagos to remove Abode? Why are they afraid of it?
We are not going to be. We are not going to go personal.
Direct primaries has its own advantage.
Yes.
Equally has its own disadvantage. Indirect primaries has its own advantage. It's equally its own advantage. But you know, the popular one that the people will go with is direct primary, even though nobody cared to know the implication and the consequence of the direct primary too. It happened in my own state in Taraba.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The whole process.
Thank you very much.
We have a valid reason.
We have come to the end of this discourse. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have been talking with Comrade Dalihat Suleiman, a criminologist and socio-political commentator, as well as Mr. Usman Okai Austin, a PDP stakeholder and a socio-political commentator.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful having you people. You have been very vibrant, and the rest of it. It
Thank
shows
you.
that you people are politically conscious.
I told you that
But you
we have
know,
been battling each
let
other on
us,
Facebook.
instead of allegiance to party, let us get our allegiance to the spirit of Mother Nigeria.
Thank you. I accept it.
Yes. The APC do not divide us. The PDP do not divide us.
And it should not affect
let
nationalism
us let
at all.
us align ourselves to the spirit and letters of our national anthems and pledges. Yes, that is how we draw the curtain on the Anambra pool, the anxiety, the election, and the lessons.
Thank you.